Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Grazia and Femina's Virtual Beauty Carnival. Today's chat is particularly interesting because we have a bunch of really cool women, all female entrepreneurs doing amazing things. But the best part is that we've got them all together today, one day, one platform. So let's just jump right into it. Before I introduce everyone, here's who we have today. Shamika Haldipurkar, founder Dew, Sukriti Jindal Khaitan, co-founder of Asa Beauty, Astha Suri, founder and creative director of Naso, Aishwarya Savarna Neer, founder of Global Beauty Secrets, and Karishma Keval Ramani, founder of Fay Beauty. Hi guys, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Hi. It's so amazing to have all you guys together, sharing a platform and discussing something that's close to all of us, beauty. So let's just jump right into it. My first question for today, and feel free to take this up, whoever wants to speak up starting first. There's been a boom of innovations and startups, I'd say. It was happening in the last 2 to 4 years. But I would say that the last 2 years, pushed by the pandemic, things have kind of sped up. Things have moved faster. How have you guys managed to put all of this out and keep up with the industry, keep up with trends, keep up with the constantly changing environment around us without losing what your brand stands for?
All of us have such a common ground to where we start from. It's all about organic beauty. It's all about being yourself. In this panel by these leading women that we have here, I feel like the boom with clean beauty and bringing sustainability to the forefront in terms of beauty, whether it's cosmetic, whether it's perfume, whether it's body care and things like that. I feel that is kind of driving. And if you look back with the Indian fashion or beauty market, for that matter, 2016, 2017, there wasn't much buzz about clean beauty, green beauty. There was still a lot of like these, international brands kind of countering the forefront of beauty. And they still are for a lot of people, who don't have that much of a natural ethos for green or clean beauty for that matter. So I think for me specifically for Naso, it was bringing sustainable beauty to the forefront, more so bringing a sustainable lifestyle, I would say, to save and to learn and to teach how to save is important.
Okay.
I think,
sorry. Go ahead.
I think being a digitally native brand, since all of us are millennials here and, all of our brands have kind of been born on the internet. Yes. I think definitely the pandemic sort of accelerated that journey for us and shortened that learning curve. And, I think definitely it has, especially for all of us at Global Beauty Secrets, it has definitely, helped us refine our content marketing game and get closer to the customers via various platforms that are available, the e-tail as well as the website. So I think that is something that has definitely happened for us. And I feel like this has also been a time where we have got closer to the purpose of the brand in an industry that has been so crowded with so many ideas coming from all across, which is obviously good because it's becoming so competitive. But at the same time, when there is so much noise, you get closer to what you're actually here to do. And I feel like the pandemic has really refined that journey for us. Initially, when I launched Global Beauty Secrets, I came up with like a range of beauty products inspired by, women across the world. I connected with them and I developed these products after reaching out to them, but I think during the pandemic I had like a lot of time in my hand where I could like really reach out to these women organically. So we collaborated with a Japanese cultural expert. She's a kimono culture expert. All the way, I communicated a lot with her like over a period of 6 months or so via Zoom, and then we conceptualized this entire Kyoto Beauty Secrets range. It was done all on Zoom without meeting her. And, I also ended up writing a book with her called Tashinami, which we obviously, made available to our customers, and it's also available on our website. And yeah,
Right.
So, that's the kind of journey that we have had at Global Beauty Secrets.
So, Mehrnath, I think a very key point that you mentioned is, how the boom has suddenly happened in the last 2 years. And, the way the market economics play out is when the consumption and the demand starts increasing is when brands start responding to that, that acts as a stimuli for the brands. And very, key observation, I think all the brands and the founders here feel that the education and the awareness in consumers in the last 2 years has boomed a lot. And the more aware and in tune with what they want, they know, they start having those expectations and demands from the brands. And, the only logical next step is for brands to meet those demands, if they want to be in the forefront and sort of getting into their customers' doorstep. And the boom that we're seeing in the industry with, brands launching more innovative products, making products, with that appeal to sort of all generations, but more so Gen Z and millennials, it's because there has been that sudden increase in education. Everyone today, I mean, if you'd see, active ingredients was very trending 5 to 7 years ago in the North American market. But you see in the last 2 years, everyone in the Indian market, and there are
textbook, right? It was not textbook, but now I think with, like you said, it's the boom of social media that kind of, I think all your consumers want a story.
Yeah,
they don't want to just buy into a product. They want to know, they want to know a lot more about it.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, maybe the last 2 years has made people that much more aware that if there's one product they're going to use, they want to know the science behind it. They want to know everything about it before they maybe reach out for that.
Yeah, and I think because D2C brands have that, that availability or that ready tool to directly share your story with the consumer without any middleman. And that's why so many D2C brands today are doing well, because you can directly reach a consumer and tell them your story. Now you'll have 10 brands selling you the same 10% niacinamide serum, but how will a consumer choose is when the story of the brand appeals to them. And I think, every brand or founder on this panel is doing that very differently. And that set the tone or the distinctive path that each of these brands have today.
Absolutely. Completely.
Just to branch off that point, right? I feel like the pandemic has been like a time of reflection for everybody. Like we've all been forced to kind of be indoors and think about things and really reevaluate your value system. And I think that's where you actually have found the most unique brands spring up, and that too locally, because obviously access to global skincare beauty has sort of had become inaccessible to some point with less travel. So it's been really nice to just see these like brands here in India spring up with these same concepts that you sort of never thought that they would get there. And like Shamika mentioned, the whole education aspect of things has like flourished, and clean beauty in India has just gone up way, way, way higher and faster than we could have imagined. So I think the pandemic almost like, it was kind of like
propelled you forward.
Exactly.
I actually think that this boom of new brands is added to all of our advantages, right? One might think about it as competition, which of course it is, but the more people that are educating the same group of people about these options that exist just makes it easier for the rest of us to thrive, right? I think at our company at Faye, when we see a new brand, we're kind of excited because we're like, okay, someone's going to help us out here to talk about that same narrative, and someone's going to be pushing money, time, energy, and content behind that same narrative, and it's going to help eventually one of us thrive or all of us thrive. So I think the flood of competitors actually makes it quite interesting, because it makes your job a little bit easier in terms of education, at least.
No, there definitely has been a flood, but like I said, there are brands that stand out. And this is the question I wanted to ask you. Have you guys noticed gaps in the beauty industry where you've stepped in and thought to yourself that this is where my brand should fit in? Maybe you've reacted to maybe even simple things like TikTok trends. I'm just saying, to be like, listen, there is something going on, but I don't think there's enough in the market that will cater to this. Is that where your brands were born from, or how does it work?
I'm happy to sorry, go ahead, Shamika.
Sorry, I'll just quickly, I think for me, that was definitely a driving factor for brand overall, but for the first product launch that we did, we not so much trending, but we saw a problem that was on the rise, which no brand or product was addressing at that time. And that was literally the motivation behind developing a product we launched Hustle, which is a multi-active serum. And today, even globally, it's one of the only products, or probably the only product, that has over 11 active ingredients in one bottle. And we had a very clear messaging to cut down your long skincare routine. And like you said, it stemmed from us seeing that, single ingredient products are trending so much that it is leading to a problem of confusion. So yeah, we didn't address a trend, we addressed a problem that we saw a trend sort of giving.
Right, of course.
Very similar story. I sort of left India a few years ago to complete my education and also to work. And I remember coming back to India and going to a beauty store with my mother, who's much more deeper skin tone than me, and walking out feeling like, what the hell did we just experience? Because these counter ladies were trying to sell us colors that were not working for my mother. They didn't have the kind of shade options that actually worked. And she's not considered to be, super deep skin tone. She's just your average Indian person. And I remember walking out and saying, this is an actual problem in India. Why aren't enough brands? There were certainly some, talking to people who looked like me or like my mother or like anybody else I might know. And that's the actual need that this brand was created out of. And of course, that's the message that we're trying to drive home. At the end of the day, it's all about being authentically inclusive with your community and being able to see yourself on the Faye Beauty website or any of our websites for that matter. I think we all do a great job at that. So that was the need that our product stemmed out of.
So then it's been a gap or either a personal experience, basically. I mean,
yeah.
Has anybody else experienced that? Like something personally that kind of, Sukriti, you seem to be nodding. Is there like a story that you want to share with us?
No, I mean, so I grew up in Hong Kong, and access to skincare and beauty was super easy. And then I moved to India recently, and I found it very, very difficult to actually trust the products that were out there. I think the beauty industry standards for what can enter the market is very, very low. So, and the marketing kind of that goes with it has been almost like a scam for some, and I never really could trust what was happening there. So my sort of motivation to start ASA came from this idea that why can't we in India create a product that is so great that people actually want to buy locally without having to feel like they have to constantly travel and pick up products because they trust those more. So why can't we create that here? And that was sort of the starting point where the need was, fulfilled from that.
Right.
Right. So
no, go ahead.
Actually, for me, someone in the panel was discussing this earlier, like how, in India, all this active-based skincare has been trending for quite some time, for the last 2 years or so. There are still quite a few of us who still believe in, natural ingredients, and we still believe in how, slow beauty regime and slow beauty rituals are also here to stay. And, it's also actually beneficial for the skin. I think back in 2018, when it came to the whole natural assortment of ingredients, I think the Indian beauty market was had like a lot of options when it came to Ayurveda, but I felt like there was like just not enough from other cultures and other rituals. And as someone who had access to, travel and had access to, internet, obviously, like I was curious, like what's out there, like what about the Turkish hammams and what about the Japanese onsen and all of these exotic rituals and ingredients, and why were we not talking about it in India as well? So, that is something that really motivated me to go out there and curate like a range full of exotic beauty ingredients from around the world.
But I do believe a made in India narrative is the call of the day, and you guys are kind of proof to everything that's come out of that. I was actually reading some of the stories that we've done for the issue, and a lot of you have kind of found a lot of inspiration in what you've created from family secrets, from beauty secrets. Like Astha, I read something about you and your family with fragrances and all. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I was just waiting because I feel like, skincare is not something NASA is into, but it's very, very similar, and it bridges from a very core ingredient, which everyone here has highlighted, is the need to get the richness out of the ingredient that is readily available to us at home. I mean, we're all young girls and we're all beautiful, and we've all been told by our mums, our nannies, our daddies about different age-old secrets that we've practiced on our hair, our skin at any point of our lives, and they've really worked for us. for me with Naso, I feel like, one was the need to heal. I feel like when I moved back from college and worked from New York and Milan, there was a lot of oud and a lot of these niche perfumeries available all over, priced exorbitantly. And I mean, I would consider myself privileged. I would still find that bottle of Tom Ford extremely overpriced and expensive. And I was like, there is no Tom Ford in India. There's no Indian bridged ingredient out there, which is globally marketed at such a great level that it is considered to be a global brand. Coming from that, I feel like oud is something that is obviously, grown in our country in massive amounts. Yet people go to Dubai to buy the best oud. So that baffled me a lot. And I was like, if we bring the cost down of this, the luxury for everyone on a tier 2 market to a tier 1 market can buy it at an affordable level, doesn't have to kind of sell a kidney to buy a 500-pound perfume and absolutely use like a spray a day. I feel like luxury is not something which is prized. Of course, it's prized because it's dying art in a way. You have to revive the age-old processes and the age-old ingredients, but it also needs to be easily, kind of used by everyday human. So for me with Naso, I mean, we have a major problem with the newer generations not wanting to kind of do what their fathers or their forefathers have kind of preached to learn. There's very limited people in the country, making perfume. Let's go to the ground level of distillation. There's very few people with my workers who have their kids wanting to do the same profession. They don't want to stand in the heat for 12 hours a day trying to distill rose in the season of rose. And we're the largest manufacturers of rose and rue gulab attar, which is used in most beauty products, most fragrances all over the world. And you would be surprised that people hand extract it in just 3 months of the year. Starting now, March, April, May is the main season of rose extraction. So it is so limited that I feel like reviving that soul of ingredient was extremely important for me. I feel like that's what a lot of skincare brands have also done. Adding to that, of course, education for that ingredient to kind of hit a narrative which a millennial or a Gen Z kid would, relate to. We live in a place where most middle-aged, ladies and men for that matter, kind of want to do what the youngsters are doing, and they want to look like them, and they want to use those products just for the faff in the air. So I feel like that was very important because we've taken our time in the pandemic where we've been so free to kind of educate the customer simply through Instagram. So, I mean, I was told with all like my dad, my granddad, and so many people in the industry been there for about 25, 30 years that, how will you market this and how will you bring it to a global forefront where it could be compared to, say, a Le Labo or a Amouage. We just had an article come out in Vogue and my bottle was right next to a Le Labo. And it was a very proud moment because I think the only thing that struck out about Naso was how we were educating about the ingredients and the need to heal that we tapped, which I feel is very, very essential in today's world. I mean, especially pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, now that we see we've kind of lashed out that personal care time, and whether that's skincare regimes, whether that's, going to my dresser.
You're right, but that is true. There is a trend in which self-care became big, which is also maybe introducing a space for so many brands to kind of come up with new offerings and things. So
all of that is the ingredient. So I feel
exactly.
like ingredient knowledge is super important.
Yeah. So I would say that maybe 3-4 years ago, while inclusivity became a buzzword, I'm glad that it just didn't remain a buzzword, but brands like yours actually put that into their brand to create things. Similarly, when sustainability and we're talking about clean beauty, we always kind of look for stories in which people are just not using these as words to force fit into their own brand narrative, but they're actually living by that. Do you think that 2022 is going to bring us another kind of, I don't know, what are your trend predictions for it? I know that, I'm very glad we have a very strong Made in India narrative going on. There's attention to ingredient, there is attention to, there's inclusivity in beauty as well. What do you all think 2022 is kind of going to be all about? I mean, not just from a product perspective, but where the Indian beauty industry is kind of going to head towards.
I feel like, sorry, I'll let you continue.
Sorry, just one quick. I think where we're already paving the way towards the market is, we saw, I think a year and a half ago, there were a lot of brands in the masstige section, for the because the biggest pocket in India are the tier 3 cities and tier 2 cities who have now a lot of disposable income.
Right.
So there are a lot of brands catering at that price point. What I feel the trend now is going to be that at every price point, you're going to find more brands. When you launched, people said this is, at a luxury price point, at a premium price point. But I feel like that now brands are you will find brands for a consumer can decide at any price point. There will be all types of ingredients or categories and
Right.
products available. And for a long time in India, as per my market assessment, there was one category of the market that was saturated with a lot of brands, which is now going to be spread through. And at each price point, you're going to get the same sort of variety, which I see is now happening with brands, at different price points. So this is one thing that I think will happen in the market.
For my market, I feel like there's a boom in the candle and the perfume industry in the past 2 years. So much so that when I launched, we were actually heading to a lockdown. We weren't exactly in a lockdown, and we were in January. And, we launched, and it's a fragrance. You know how important it is for a person to kind of experience that fragrance and feel and touch. And within 2 months of launch, we were supposed to kind of be locked down and not touch and feel and try different things. So it was extremely challenging to kind of make people try fragrance, which is where kind of education took the forefront. I was also told by a lot of marketing, geeks that don't market your product as Indian, market your product as it's from the West. So it'll really do well with your price points in India. And I was like, oh my God, but the USP of my product is that it's born and bred in India. And that's kind of what I want to sell to the Western market. I'll be very honest with you. This was designed for obviously a global market. And like every other girl my age, I mean, I'm very whimsical by the West and, the culture and just simply the kind of exposure we get in terms of art and design out there. Hence, I saw the need to ingredient per se focused over there. And this is something that India wasn't ready to do. Cut to 2022, and there is an immense boom, like she rightly said, in terms of price points. Even nowadays, I mean, NASA would be easy luxury called product. Our products are about 2,000, go to about 4,000, 5,000. It is affordable. People are buying t-shirts worth 6,000. But, there's still so much competition because I feel like there's every price point available and every brand kind of catering to all kinds of price points now, starting at 200, going to 2,000. I think the only thing that strikes out here is quality and, how you bring that narrative of quality to your customer.
Right.
In addition to just product, I think the one trend that I'm seeing more and more of is accountability. You can't just be the type of brand today that says, I am sustainable or I am inclusive and not walk the walk and talk the talk.
Exactly.
Consumers are holding you responsible to the news. And if you don't show that authenticity through and through, whether it's product development or how you portray your models or how you transparently portray your ingredients, consumers are going to lose interest. And like
yes,
we said,
it can't be a trend word anymore. It has to be inculcated into your business.
You have to live it. Yeah, absolutely. You have to make business decisions that impact authenticity.
But your line when you started was all about the Indian skin tone, right? I mean, it was all about that.
Absolutely. And that's still our main USP. It's about embracing and seeing what an Indian person would look like wearing our products.
Right. So Priti, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I mean, I feel that 2022 is going to be a year where people are going to be closer to their values, as I mentioned earlier, and you will find a lot of niche brands popping up. I mean, which you find like specific men care products that never existed before, that is specific to something like, men's makeup, right? Or you find like really, really niche brands arising. So at least with ASA, sustainability has been a massive core, and that core pillar for us. And that's been a pretty central pillar for a lot of other brands out there. And, considering the whole landfill, like just the wastage that is produced by, our industry, a lot of brands are looking at ways of cutting down on that. And what has been interesting for us to see is that we have a refillable model, which where you can buy refills and replace it. And that's something that you're seeing a lot of the big names like Valentino, Chanel also adopt, and they too are moving in that direction, where we are sort of caring for the planet in different ways. And I feel that it's been interesting to see how people are like tapping into their values across all strata.
No, but I'm glad that these are also things that you guys believe in, that then they're just not left at thought level. They're actually kind of they're part of your business model. You know, it's what you guys have believed in. Maybe that's been your starting point of kickstarting your brand. That kind of, and that narrative continues through, I think, every new product that you guys even introduce, for example.
It's kind of difficult to have that narrative go in the business space because, you know, I can't say about anyone else, nagged about being a hoarder and like being waste conscious and not, you know, kind of throwing away my plastic and getting so much of packaging, because obviously we have luxury packaging to our perfume, and kind of tapering all of those plastic things that kind of come in big SKUs, reusing them. We even tell the customer that, you know, don't get offended if you get a dirty bag or like a dirty courier box which has been taped repeatedly, because I'm just trying to save, like I'm just trying to do as much as I can. And my mom and my dad on a daily call me hoarders, people who've been working for my family for ages and now have kind of joined NASO are like, Didi kya kar rahi hai? And it's like nice to kind of go from like the really minimum core people to teach them to save. And I think little things is what makes a difference at a very greater level, and that is where we kind of all bridge from.
Okay, so I think that as we go ahead, I do feel that the rest of the year we're going to see a lot of, you might see, I mean, honestly, because to our platform, we're getting a new mail almost every day with a new launch, a new brand. Just a last ending question for you. How do you guys plan to keep the essence of what your brand is for the rest? I mean, just not for the rest of the year, but in general, in Outlook, because it's got to create a niche of its own. I know it already has, but like I said, there's new innovations, there's a new narrative in place with so many brands coming out. What is your one game plan to kind of make sure that your brand kind of remains authentic, but all the time remains relevant as well?
I'll start. So one of our core brand philosophies is intentional beauty consumption, because one of the biggest trends and that we all see that happens is beauty is becoming very quickly like fast fashion. There are newer launches every day.
Absolutely, agree with you.
So we have a very strong pillar that we believe in intentional beauty consumption, meaning we very thoughtfully develop products and we don't launch for the sake of capturing market share. And we're probably the only brand in India that has, for over a year, 1 year, 3 months, remained with a single SKU launch.
And you had one now, right? Like about a month ago.
Yeah. We launched a second product a month ago. But this is not, but that's us walking our talk and staying very true to our core. Of course, it's not that we're going to only launch a product a year, but we may launch 2, 3, but as compared to what you see with, 6 launches a year, 10 launches a year, another launch every 2 months.
10 launches a month, maybe. For
Yeah. So that's what our core philosophy is. We, like your question is like, how will you stay, sort of relevant to your messaging and your distinctive identity? So this is what we believe in at Dew, that we do intentional launches, because we do put a lot of R&D and thought behind what each launch should be. We find a gap in the market and make a product to address that gap, or see what other brands are not giving to the consumers and try and give that. So that's our intentional beauty consumption philosophy. And like, we, as best as we can, try to walk our talk. So, we hope, and this is something that has registered to the end consumer, and they identify us with that. And that's just the, reward that we think, because, carving a brand identity takes years. So for consumers to recognize something and associate that with your brand is a big battle. And, with small steps, you sort of get there. And we do receive that kind of feedback. So that would be my thing for my brand, for Dew, to sort of stay relevant and create that distinctive identity, would be to do this.
For us, it's definitely community first. I built this brand with the ideology to represent a certain type of person. And while I am guilty of being the type of brand that does the 6-7 launches a year to try to capture that
But
market,
it's still decent.
yeah, it's
Karishma.
compared to what a lot of other brands do. And I know where Shamika is coming from, because for the first year of our origin, we also had just one type of product, and it's very difficult to build a brand on one product, and it takes a lot of guts. But for us, I've always thought about beauty as just sort of the means to an end. What we're trying to achieve here is authenticity and inclusivity, where a person that doesn't fit the stereotypical beauty bill walks into our showroom one day, or looks at our website and feels beautiful and feels acknowledged. And that's what we're trying to do, right? And today we're doing
the faces of yours has been a wider choice. So I think somebody will come and tell you something if you launch one shade. You need your brand philosophy is kind of putting all that. I mean, your inclusivity is a factor that kind of filters into your ranges. I mean,
absolutely.
20 shades, 30 shades.
Yeah, and for us today, that's product, and that works well for us. But several years down the line, if we feel like that means creating a community, creating a movement for the LGBTQ youth that are not represented in our community enough, then that's what it's going to be. So for us, the way we're going to continue to pave the path forward is stay true to keeping in touch with our community, because that's the priority for us, and it's not just the product. So that's how we're going to do it at Faye.
And Karishma, you've done a really brilliant job.
So Shamika and I are both big fans of each other. I use her products. We both really I love her brand. It's awesome.
A lot of brands say this, but walking the talk is what so you really stayed true to the core, and which is amazing and commendable.
No, but here's the deal. You'll have stayed true to what you all started out with. It's easy to kind of, like I said, you go online and you see 100 things happening, but you guys have stayed true to what you've started out with, and that is when maybe that is the story that all your new consumers are looking for, not just a tried and tested. I mean, they want to read into what you guys are all about as well.
Mehnaz, it's actually so hard, because as the first 2 years of developing a brand, each year is a very different journey. But as the business pressures start mounting up, and that you have to meet your targets and things like that, it is very tempting to sort of do the things that everyone is doing. And I think all of us know the typical case studies of those D2C brands.
Successes, right? Not anymore. There's days where I think, I should just do that.
Do we do that? Like, should we just do a
let's just do this.
There are discerning customers as well. Where few of us are very discerning customers who will just not go ahead and try everything. Absolutely. I mean, there is a market. There's a market for everything. Beauty has become literally so democratic that, and literally with the past 2 years, I mean, that was the only thing that people were sitting at home and experimenting with. Actually, you weren't even getting dressed and going anywhere. I know maybe color cosmetics might have had a slight, I mean, maybe with the masking and everything, but self-care became the new buzzword, it did.
Absolutely.
Guys, Sukriti, Astha, Aishwarya, any, parting words? I mean, we're just going to wrap this up.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Astha.
So, I mean, I was really working backwards and laughing inside when Shamika was speaking about intentional launches. That is something we realized within 2 years or 2 months of launching. We kind of came up with every ingredient, because I guess smell is so personal. We didn't want to, have the pressures of being an Indian brand and Indian perfumery trying to carve its path, and having an audience kind of member not like a flavor. So my kind of intention was to tap every ingredient and kind of tap a palette that everyone relates to, and this kind of resulted in about 90% of return customers back and nobody walking out of Naso not liking a scent. Having said that, within 2 months, I was like, what the hell have I done? Like, I have so many products and they're so detailed, and there's philosophies like anti-perfumery and new normality that we preach as a brand, where we want to cater to the community, be relatable, and switched our approach and we kind of treated every product as its separate entity, and we spent some to cut to now where we are in plans of this normal approach be the more normal is preached as luxury, the more relatable it becomes. We don't kind of stick by super high standards of luxury or fragrance for that matter. It's something which is a very day-to-day mood pleaser or an uplifter that one uses. So I think that's been the key strength of us, and I am going to follow intentional launches from now on, because I feel like that is so important. I feel like people really need to take time and trust and know and experience, and it's all about the journey, and you have to enjoy it, rather than kind of having this huge array and kind of fight competitors in the market, because it's just never ending there.
Aishwarya, your thoughts?
Yeah, right. I think for us at GBS, I think we would like to somewhere focus on building products that are a fine blend of high performance ingredients along with plant-based alternatives. I think that is, where we are going to build our niche. And definitely, we would want to deliver as an indie beauty brand. We would want to deliver on the value to the customer, which we are trying to claim from them. So these are the two things that all of us at GBS are going to be very mindful about.
And just with Asa, it's sort of our whole concept is about clean, conscious beauty. And it's not just about the brand per se, but it's about the entire journey that comes with it. So for us, what's really, really important, similar to what Karishma said about community building and connecting with the community, I think we have this concept that we're really proud of it, and we talk about it all the time, this clean awakening movement, where you're awakening one to a more conscious way of life. And it doesn't have to be through makeup, like I mentioned. It could be just going to a grocery store and picking organic vegetables one day, or even just choosing not to use to bring your own cup to like a coffee shop or something of that sort. But the idea is that how can you sort of inspire your community? How can you inspire people out there to move in this direction where they feel more and more in line with their values? So ideally, that's where we would like to go, and that's where we're aiming to go, and hopefully build a community bigger and bigger as they relate to these different ways where they can just indulge in mindful luxury, but not feel guilty about it.
That's a good space to be in. That's where all of us should aim to be in. This entire concept of, it's not a concept anymore. It should actually be a way of life, just mindful consumption. But on that note, thank you so much, ladies. We've way extended our time. I'm sure we can chat a lot more, but thank you for being here and also being part of our issue. And
thank you for having us.
Forward to everything that you guys have that's going to come up for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.